Hey, Ron here. Again, from the beige void. Again. If you know, you know. Just trying to make another video. This is more of a proof of concept than anything. So one of the videos that I was working on before I had to leave was a video looking at some claims that some people were making that it was the left's fault that the right is resurgent now because they made leftist spaces too hostile to men. They made it too difficult for men to come into leftism. Those aren't exactly the claims that people are making, but the actual claims that are being made are so much more convoluted and so much more... What's a nice way of phrasing it? Unserious, so much more unserious that I don't feel like justifying them here. I feel like that's not my job. So, I'm not gonna do that. At least, not now. A lot of those sources, when I was doing research, preliminary research, I was able to source a lot of claims, or at least a dialogue, back to a Vosh thread, and an interview that Vosh did with, I think it was Anna Kasparian, with the Young Turks. I want to talk about one thing that he said, that Vosh said in this interview, and that is that he said that the problem that most guys have with toxic masculinity as a phrase is that they've already been taught that the phrase toxic masculinity is bad. They don't have any problem with, like, what it means. They just have a problem with the words. I think he's wrong. I think that he is not giving the people that he is talking about enough credit. I don't think that he's taking them seriously. So... Let's say that someone comes into, like, a Discord server, or, like, a leftist space, and starts talking about this new ideology that they have, right? They call it new conservatism, or new republicanism, right? And they start talking about how, you know, every person, they feel, is a hero on the inside, and needs to have that inner hero brought out. How everyone needs to dedicate their lives to a cause. Not any cause, but, like, it would be more ideal for them if the cause that they dedicated their lives to was their new ideology. They started talking about, how there were two kinds of people. There were good people and there were bad people. Or about how there really is only one problem with the country, I guess. And that is, let's say, immigrants. And let's say that they said that the problem, the way that you fix the problem of immigrants is you are as cruel to them as it is possible to be. So if someone came into that, if someone came into a leftist space and started talking like that, they would almost immediately be pegged as a fucking Nazi. Right? Like, not just because they're talking about being cruel to people who have no power in society, but also, like, when you're talking about the cult of heroism and machismo and shit, that's just something that gets pegged really easy. And if they went into a leftist space, thinking that they could convince leftists, thinking that they could convince someone like me to join their ideology, which is more or less Nazism or fascism by another name, they would be wrong. If they believed that I could be argued into a position where I believed the Nazi ideology was the correct ideology, they would be wrong. they would be mistaken. They would be underestimating me. Because, I mean, in a lot of Discord servers I'm modding anyway, I just fucking kick them. But, and also if it was like an IRL thing, I have actually literally thrown people into moving cars. That's a thing that I've done. Twice. But, that is not a conversation that I am willing to entertain. And that is not a conversation that most leftists would be willing to entertain, because we know where it leads. And we know what the kind of people who entertain that really want. The idea of having the conversation is offensive by itself, is something that I would say. So when you're talking about people like Andrew Tate, or Jordan Peterson, or any of the Christian fascists at the Daily Wire, their problem with toxic masculinity isn't that the words are bad. You wouldn't be able to, if you replaced the phrase toxic masculinity with pantsism, if you started talking about pantsism and how it's detrimental to men, they would still shut you down. Because it isn't the words they have a problem with. It is that the conversation is being had at all. They are not amenable to the idea. And if you consider them amenable to the idea, then you are underestimating them. You are not taking them seriously. You are not taking their ideas seriously. And I have a lot more to say about this. Like, I have half of a script written, but just looking at the claims and how they don't mean what these people, what like Vosh and people in Vosh's circles have been saying that they mean something radically different. But, like, I suppose preemptively I want to say that, like, really, if you think that you can convince someone wholly ideologically opposed to feminism, to the point that they financially benefit from being opposed to feminism, right? Like, being entirely opposed to feminism. Andrew Tate does not want women to vote. He does not want women to have rights as human beings, and he said as much. If you think you can convince someone like that your ideas are better than theirs, then you're not taking them seriously. You're not taking what they're saying seriously. And his followers are going to be more or less the same. These are things that people don't learn from, what's the phrase that fucking atheists used to use? These aren't positions that they came to through reason and debate. These are just things that they feel. Dudes who like Andrew Tate and far-right anti-feminist dudes, right? They just feel like they're oppressed. And they're not entirely wrong, but they're not right in the way that they think they are. I'm getting off topic. It bothers me that someone who wants to be taken serious, like that is Vosh, isn't willing to take the people who he's trying to convince seriously. I don't know. I don't feel like I've said anything really that meaningful. Well, you know where the likes are, you know where the comments are. They're there, I think. Leave one or both if you found any of this diatribe that I spewed out at 11:30 at night to be useful or worthwhile. My Ko-Fi should be linked in the description. I can't even come up with a reason. Like, I know that my usual thing is, oh, I make up some absurd reason that, I need money, and then I make up some absurd reason I got thrown off of Twitter, but fucking, things have been really bad. I don't know. Just take care of yourselves, alright?